everybody, welcome back. It's me again, Dr. Folake Taylor. Welcome to the second part of my nutrition story, and it's an excerpt from my book, The Only Way is Up, The Journey of an Immigrant, and the chapter is Nutrition, Exercise, Weight, and Health. Another issue of concern in the United States is portion sizes. Adults do not need such big portions of food as most restaurants serve. I eat some of this as 3 meals, or at least 2. I always have a takeout box when leaving such places. We make sure we eat Thai food, Indian, Greek, Caribbean, Mediterranean, and some Hispanic foods. Many of these are healthier, and their portions are smaller and just right for you. Has anyone ever tried Indian snacks? They're actually very yummy. And we have some of the best snacks in Nigeria and Europe as well. They're actually tasty and not sugar laden. And who could imagine that eating a rice dish every day could actually be good for you and keep you slim? But essentially, that's what the Thai and Chinese dishes are based on. Small rice portions, as well as vegetables, healthy sauces and spices that go with it make it healthy. A lot of the Chinese food in the US, unfortunately, is not authentic anymore, however. Even in Nigeria, we eat rice almost daily and are generally smaller people. That is until we get to the United States. All of my life I tried to gain weight, and once I got here, it just happened. We opt for baking, broiling, boiling, and grilling as opposed to frying a lot of food items now. And the George Foreman grill is a great way of getting rid of some of the natural fats in food, especially the meats. And another option we make is to use olive oil as well as canola oil as opposed to other kinds of oils when we cook. I used to be addicted to whole milk, if I can put it that way, and now I hardly drink milk. I eat other dairy products instead, and with more of the all-natural low-fats yogurts, as well as something called kefir. Kefir is a fermented dairy product from the Middle East, which has been shown to lower cholesterol, enhance the immune system, as well as provide important gut-friendly bacteria. It's also featured in the book I talked about, Eat This, Not That. It was initially hard for me to switch to 1% or even 2% milk, but the point is all of those even have too much saturated fat for an adult in them. I also try to avoid regular mayonnaise, and if I must, I choose the healthier alternatives in the form of the canola or olive oil mayonnaise. The best cereal for weight loss is granola, by the way, and if possible, the low-fat granola. This may sound strange, but butter may actually be healthier than a lot of so-called spreads because the body can process it better. But whatever it is, just consume it in moderation. And for butter and cheese, the whipped forms are actually better. They have less calories and they have about half of the saturated fat in them, and they're generally healthier for you than the regular counterparts. Adults also should not eat too many eggs if it's regular eggs, except you're discarding the yolk. Another option is if you're doing the organic eggs with the omega-3 fatty acids in them, then you can eat the whole egg and it can still be healthy for you. These are generally from free-range hens that are grain-fed and not injected with any hormones or antibiotics. It is amazing how even the size of genetically modified poultry is huge compared to the natural free-range and grain-fed ones. I remember in Nigeria it's not hard to come by natural chicken. We call them local chicken, and they're free-range. Who would have believed turkey bacon may not be healthier for you than the regular bacon? But it turns out that because it's infused with so much sodium, it actually is not healthier for you. One strip of regular bacon is like 40 to 50 calories in it, and it has about 200 milligrams of sodium. So if you're going to eat bacon, just eat the one very infrequently and keep it moving. However, we do replace turkey breast slices with ham in our sandwiches. We need to try and be more open-minded about our protein as well, especially meats. There's lamb, there's rabbit, there's different things that are alternatives to chicken and turkey. There's duck as well. Fish is also an excellent option, and I have actually resolved to eat more fish as well. Desserts are mostly very calorie dense, and I have developed a system whereby if I'm going to eat dessert, I eat it basically as a meal by itself and not in addition to a meal. Also, try to share even the smallest dessert portions with someone so that you're not eating the whole thing. There are a few things I completely abstain from eating. I just replace them with healthier forms and just really cut back on it as well, and substitute some of them. For people with health problems, the dietary changes are less of a choice, and for example, if you're a diabetic, you need to eat less carbohydrates and more of the natural ones like fruit. You need less or no processed sugars at all. You need low fat as well as more of the proteins, whole grains, and vegetables. If you're hypertensive, a low salt diet will do wonders in most people. And if you have high cholesterol like me, which so far I have been able to manage with diet, and of course having the added benefit of high HDL actually is protective for me. We all need to take better care of ourselves. And of course we have the genetic component in a lot of disease processes, but we just need to pay attention. And even if we need to take medication for these conditions, we can end up taking lower doses of these medications because they are all chemicals. And of course, if it's ever necessary, I'm not opposed to needing to take cholesterol medicine, but I just had to make sure that I tried as best as I could with my diet. And I was actually able to drop more than 40 points in my total cholesterol just by dieting alone. We also need to get our kids started on a healthy diet, and because it's easier that way than to get them to switch to healthy diets later. Of course, it was hard for me to stop drinking whole milk because that's what I drank all my life, and because my mother didn't have the knowledge back then that it wasn't healthy for me. It's also mostly healthier to make our own meals than to eat out. And when you do eat out, restaurants actually have a lot of restaurants have a part of their menus that have the meals that are less than 500 calories, and you can ask for those. We need to start brown bagging it again, is what I say as well, which is in reference to packing our lunches to work or school. And because even if you work in a part of the city where they have a lot of healthy restaurants, what is the chance that every single time you go out to lunch that you will go to one of those? It's also important to teach our children how to cook, because not only does this help their pocket later in life, it helps prepare them for a lifestyle of healthy eating, and you have control of what goes into you. I'm by no means this perfect person who is always so disciplined with her eating habits. I do indulge in the occasional tiramisu or Napoleon. I'm a regular person who has found a way to make this work without being superhuman about it. And I will admit that I do fall off the wagon sometimes, but then I get back up and I try again. I do not let myself gain 50 pounds before I try. When I gain 5 pounds, I pinch myself and I change something so that I can lose it. Certain non-life-threatening medical conditions are also affected by what we eat. For example, things like acne or acid reflux and all that. And the lesson in this is we just need to be in tune with our bodies. And some people even develop lactose intolerance in adulthood, and that will be a signal to stop drinking dairy products and all that. You are unique, and so is your body. Pay attention to what it is telling you. We'll now take a break and I'll be right back. Hi, I'm back. Exercise is definitely important whichever way we look at it. And whatever our excuses are, we need to find a way to incorporate it into our lives. Our kids also need to be active. We need to go to the park or ride bikes outside as opposed to watching television and playing games indoors all day. And we can get active with them. Exercise is not only important to lose weight, but also to keep our heart conditioned and our muscles toned. I'm blessed to have a slightly athletic build naturally, but if I'm not careful, there will come a time when if I shake my arms, they will jingle. I do not have a trainer or even, have a current gym membership, and I admit that I also need to step it up with the exercise. I'm also work in progress, but on the whole, I have come a long way. Women have this excuse of gaining weight from childbearing, and that may be true, but at least we should attempt to fix it. I gained 40 pounds with my pregnancy, and that was really scary for me because my goal weight gain was 25 pounds. But since then, I have lost more than 60 pounds simply by practicing what I have outlined in this chapter about nutrition and staying active. I did not stop at losing the exact weight I gained. I figured my baseline weight needed to be readjusted long before my next pregnancy. I also did not decide to have another baby immediately or before I could lose the initial weight gained. And definitely before I try to have another baby, I'll try even harder to lose another few pounds to put me clearly probably in the midpoint for a normal BMI for my height, and not just barely in that range. And of course, I'll try harder not to gain 40 pounds the next time. I do not like to tell people this, but alcohol in moderation has been linked to an increase in HDL levels, which is the good cholesterol, the one that is supposed to be high in your body. It is said to be good for the heart. This HDL at a certain threshold can counteract the negative effect of mild elevations in total cholesterol and LDL, which is the bad cholesterol. The key word, however, is moderation, and always in addition to the appropriate dietary changes and an increase in activity or a structured exercise regimen. Medications, of course, can also achieve this. I mean, this is no way an admonition for non-drinkers to start to drink alcohol, or even individuals with a prior history of alcohol abuse, or underage persons, pregnant or lactating women, people with a history of medical conditions that preclude alcohol intake, or if you intend to drive afterwards. But for those who drink, it is the way that you drink that can either make it beneficial to your health or ultimately kill you. There is a very fine line between the two. Binge drinking, such as drinking a six-pack on a Friday night and all of that, is definitely very detrimental to your health and is a huge load on the liver. Information can be found about all of this on the internet, obviously. But to be safe, I would only advocate for light alcohol consumption, which is definitely less than what is defined as moderate. You can find all these definitions online. I'm not going to bore you with it. Smoking and excessive alcohol intake are associated with many medical conditions, including cancer. Smoking is a risk factor in heart disease and cancers of the head and neck, lung, esophagus, pancreas, as well as the colon. It also causes chronic lung diseases. Excessive alcohol intake and obesity are risk factors for colon cancer, while obesity and the high intake of meals high in fat are risk factors for pancreatic cancer. Excessive alcohol intake is a culprit in cancers of the pancreas, mouth, pharynx, larynx, esophagus, and liver, as well as breast cancer. It is also a risk factor in pancreatitis, stroke, hypertension, liver cirrhosis, miscarriage, fetal alcohol syndrome, and suicide. Excessive alcohol intake has been known to cause injuries due to impaired motor skills and can cause the heart muscle some damage as well. This is called a cardiomyopathy when the heart is enlarged. It can also cause sudden death in people with cardiovascular disease. All this information you can get on the internet, of course. And this is by no means even the tip of the iceberg about these issues, but just a reminder of how our choices and lack of discipline in how we treat our bodies does affect our health. Sometimes it could be us not paying attention or watching out for conditions that run in our family. I tell my patients this all the time. It is important that you participate in your own care. Let us not forget about preventive medicine. A common saying in Nigeria is this: prevention is better than care. And it truly is. If we do our pap smears and mammograms, cervical and breast cancer can be diagnosed early or even in the precancerous stage where it can be treated. The same goes for colon cancer screening with a colonoscopy, and we should make sure our men are getting their prostate exams or blood tests to screen for prostate cancer as well. We do need to do yearly physicals even if we have no health problems and take no medication. That way, a rising cholesterol level can be an indicator that we need to change our eating habits, or mildly elevated fasting blood sugar can be indicative of prediabetes, and that way you can cut back on your carbs and your sugars before you have full-blown diabetes. Thyroid disease can be detected, or blood pressure that is starting to rise, and we can consciously cut back on our salt intake and lose weight to reverse it. If need be, medications can be prescribed to help treat these conditions that usually cause heart disease, eye and kidney disease, or even a stroke later if left untreated. Doctors are not just around to treat conditions that already exist, believe me. We would prefer if you never got them in the first place. A lot of insurance companies will pay for preventive care, and this is because it saves them money in the long run. I will advise that we take a multivitamin daily. It makes up for vitamins and minerals that our body needs that our diet is missing. If you have not had a physical in the past year, please make an appointment to have one. And you don't have to know all these things that I just talked about, but your doctor will know what things are age appropriate for you and what tests you need to have done to prevent other things that might happen in the future. Catch them early. Basically, your doctor will also counsel you on necessary changes and any age-appropriate routine and screening tests. We also need to remember dental care for ourselves and our kids. We'll live and learn, and it's never too late to start to make an effort to treat our bodies better. It's attainable, it can be done. Remember, one step at a time is all it takes. Baby steps, little tiny baby steps. That's how I choose to see it. Thank you very much for listening.